Tokyo is the most populous city on Earth, a sprawling megacity of nearly 38 million people, yet it defies expectations. To a first-time visitor, Tokyo can seem chaotic, with a maze-like street layout and a haphazard look and the lack of coordinated urban planning. However, beneath the visual bustle lies an extraordinary order. Tokyo is an extremely complex metropolitan system that functions like a clockwork machine, ranked among the safest, most reliable urban environments in the world. Commuter trains run with surgical precision. Quiet side streets harbor local shops and shrines, and millions navigate shared spaces with polite efficiency. How does this city achieve such harmonious complexity? In this video, we will uncover Tokyo's design secrets by exploring 3 hidden structural layers that keep the metropolis running smoothly. First are the arteries, Tokyo's vast rail transit networks pumping life through the city. Next are the cells, its human-scale neighborhoods, nourished by mixed-use planning and walkability. Finally, we delve into the code, the cultural norms and social software that guide behavior in public spaces. By journey's end, we'll see how Tokyo's physical design and cultural design interlock, explaining why this colossal city can feel both intensely energetic and remarkably serene. Tokyo's circulatory system is its rail network, an unparalleled feat of transit engineering and planning. In fact, Tokyo boasts the world's most extensive network of urban trains and subways. Greater Tokyo has roughly 158 railway lines operated by 48 different companies, spanning over 4,700 kilometers of tracks and serving 2,210 stations. On an average workday, about 40 million passenger trips are taken on Tokyo's rail system, a scale of ridership literally unmatched anywhere else on the planet. For comparison, that's like the entire population of California riding trains every day. One iconic artery is the Yamanote Line, a 34.5-kilometer loop of 30 stations that circles central Tokyo's key hubs. Think of it as Tokyo's pulsating heart, a rail loop pumping people around in a continuous circuit. Trains on the Yamanote Line arrive every 2 to 3 minutes during rush hour, and it carries roughly 4 million riders each day. At peak times, the loop runs over 500 train trips per day to meet demand. The train doors slide open onto a rhythm of organized chaos, commuters swiftly boarding and disembarking with practiced precision. Yet inside the cars, a quiet calm prevails. More on that later when we discuss Tokyo's social norms. It takes about 1 hour to ride the full loop of the Yamanote, an easy way for newcomers to glimpse the city's many faces in one ride. Major centers like Shinjuku, Shibuya, Tokyo Station, and Ueno are all tied together by this looping artery. And consider Shinjuku Station, a miniature city unto itself. Shinjuku is the world's busiest transit hub. About 3.5 million people pass through Shinjuku Station each day when you count all its rail lines. To put that in perspective, one station in Tokyo handles as many daily passengers as the entire population of a medium-sized country. Yet Shinjuku runs remarkably smoothly. Trains glide in and out on time, signage and layouts funnel foot traffic through the massive complex, and frequent departures keep the crowds moving. The experience can be dizzying for a visitor. Numerous exits, multi-level concourses, department stores, and even a hidden Godzilla statue nearby. But it works. Tokyo's major stations are designed as multimodal transit hubs. You can seamlessly transfer from a Japan Rail JR commuter train to a subway, then to a privately operated suburban rail line or a bus, all within the same station complex. Tokyo's transit arteries aren't all publicly operated either, a critical factor in the city's design. Dozens of private railway companies weave through the metro area, operating lines that integrate with city-run subways and the JR East network. Remarkably, these different operators coordinate schedules and allow through service in many cases, so a single swipe of an IC card can take you across what appears to be one unified system. The fare technology itself is world-class. By 2023, over 95 million Suica smart fare cards had been issued. Riders simply tap their Suica or Pasmo card to enter any station in Greater Tokyo, whether it's a JR train, metro subway, or private line, and the back-end system automatically splits the fare among the companies. Suica cards are used for 6.6 million transactions a day, not just on transit, but even at vending machines and convenience stores, illustrating how deeply this tech is embedded in daily life. Tokyo was early to adopt such cashless, contactless fare payment, which speeds up boarding and keeps trains on schedule. These private rail companies deserve special mention because they shaped Tokyo's urban form in profound ways. In the early 20th century, companies like Tokyu Corporation pioneered a model of transit-oriented development decades before the term was coined. Rather than treating railroads purely as transportation, Tokyu saw them as value generators for land. They laid down new commuter lines into undeveloped areas and simultaneously built attractive neighborhoods and commercial centers along those lines. A classic example is Jiyugaoka, a suburb whose name means Liberty Hill. Tokyu built a line from Shibuya out to Jiyugaoka in the 1920s, essentially creating an entire community from scratch. To entice riders and land buyers, Tokyu developed the land around Jiyugaoka Station with European-style pedestrian shopping streets, parks, schools, and nice housing. In other words, they didn't just sell train tickets, they sold a lifestyle. The better the line made the area accessible, the more valuable the real estate became. And the more people moved there, the more riders took the train. It was a brilliant positive feedback loop of design: build the railway, build the town, and grow them together. This approach of private rail plus real estate proved tremendously successful in Tokyo. Tokyu and other private operators, like Odakyu, Keio, Tobu, Seibu, and more, all developed station-front retail complexes, suburban residential enclaves, amusement parks, and even universities along their lines. Even the formerly government-run JR East has emulated this model since rail privatization, leveraging its station properties to build shopping malls and hotels. The result is a transit system that is financially sustainable and deeply integrated into the fabric of the city. Rails don't just connect to neighborhoods. In many cases, they helped create the neighborhoods. One report highlights that Tokyo's public transport usage is one of the highest globally, thanks to an expansive system of suburban trains that reach virtually every corner of the metro area. And crucially, these trains run on time. Japan's railways are famously punctual. Delays are so rare that one operator issued a public apology when a train departed just 20 seconds early. That anecdote, while amusing, speaks volumes about the culture of reliability. Tokyo's commuters expect trains to be exactly on schedule, and the system delivers with 99% plus on-time performance. In terms of design, this punctuality is achieved through precise timetabling, track layouts that allow rapid turnarounds, and extensive staff training. But it's also reinforced by social norms. Station staff and passengers all cooperate to keep things moving efficiently. Thanks to these rail arteries, cars have become a secondary mode in Tokyo. The city's layout and policy have long favored transit and walking. There are extensive expressways and many drivers, of course, but for most daily travel, Tokyoites choose the train or their feet. Greater Tokyo averages 0.24 commuter rail stations per square kilometer of developed land, effectively a train station every 4 kilometers or so in urban areas, meaning almost everyone lives close to a station. Little wonder that walking and cycling are far more common than in North American cities, and private automobiles play a decidedly minor role in urban transport. Public transit here isn't just an option, it's the central nervous system of the city. By moving such enormous numbers of people quickly and quietly, Tokyo's rail design enables the city to function at its high speed and high density without grinding to a halt. If Tokyo's rails are its arteries, then Tokyo's neighborhoods are its cells, the small-scale human-oriented environments where daily life actually happens. Step out of any train station in Tokyo, and you'll find yourself in what feels like a self-contained micro-city. Within a short walk, you might have everything you need: grocery stores, a kindergarten, a park, a clinic, a ramen shop, a Shinto shrine, and your home. This pedestrian-centric, 15-minute city pattern exists not by accident, but by design, a combination of intentional zoning laws, mixed-use development, and organic growth over centuries. Unlike the strict single-use zoning in many Western cities, where residential, commercial, and industrial areas are rigidly separated, Japanese zoning is highly permissive, and mixed use by default national law defines only 12 broad zone categories, and critically, they allow a wide range of uses based on what nuisance level is acceptable. In practice, This means low-density residential zones in Japan aren't pure housing districts. They can still host small shops, cafes, or offices as long as they stay under certain size limits. For instance, even in the quietest category, 1 residential zones, businesses up to 50 square meters, about 500 square feet, are allowed within homes, as long as the shop is less than half of the floor area. There are no single-family-only zones banning apartments. Multi-family housing can be built virtually anywhere, which keeps neighborhoods diverse and inclusive. The logic is simple. As long as an activity isn't too noisy or polluting, the maximum nuisance principle, it's permitted. This cumulative zoning approach results in richly mixed neighborhoods. One urban planner notes that almost all Japanese zones allow mixed-use developments, a stark contrast to the segregated zoning in, say, American suburbs. What does this look like on the ground? In a typical Tokyo residential neighborhood, you might see a 2-story house next to a 3-story apartment building. On the corner, there's a family-run bakery, and maybe upstairs from that is a small accounting office. Down the street, there's a local sento, public bathhouse, or a tiny izakaya pub, single-family homes next to small apartment buildings, corner stores and little groceries integrated within housing areas, home-based cafes or barbershops, schools, shrines, and clinics within walking distance, narrow lanes that naturally calm traffic. This is a normal Tokyo streetscape. Crucially, daily needs are within a short walk. A national convenience store industry group reports there are around 8,000 convenience stores, konbini, in Tokyo alone. Statistically, that means you're rarely more than a 5-minute walk from a Lawson, 7-Eleven, or Family Mart. In fact, one study found that even using a conservative 300-meter radius, about a 5-minute walk for an elderly person, 86% of Tokyo's senior citizens in the central 23 wards live within 300 meters of a convenience store. If you extend that radius a bit further, essentially virtually every resident has a convenience store within a few blocks. And that's not counting the countless produce stands, pharmacies, and vending machines dotting the streets. This density of amenities means that people don't need to drive for errands. Walking is practical and often more pleasant. Tokyo's street design also contributes to the human-scale feel. Many of the residential streets are narrow and winding, often lacking sidewalks, which sounds dangerous, but paradoxically, it slows down cars and makes drivers very cautious. These are shared spaces where kids walk to school and neighbors catch up on gossip. Because of low speed limits and the culture of safety, it's not uncommon to see children as young as 6 walking or bicycling on their own. This is considered normal. Young kids in Tokyo routinely commute to school solo. In fact, in the Tokyo metro area, population approximately 38 million, a first grader's journey to school might be a 30-minute walk or a train ride with a transfer, and they'll do it unaccompanied. It's a point of pride that children are taught independence and the city's environment supports it, with community members keeping a friendly eye on the little ones. A CBS News report followed a 7-year-old boy who takes a 55-minute commute across Tokyo. A walk, a train, a transfer, another walk, all by himself. At his school, it's actually mandated that kids come on their own, no parent drop-offs. And on his backpack, a little yellow flag identifies him as a first grader, so that other adults know to help if needed. This kind of trust and freedom is possible because the neighborhoods are safe, walkable, and full of watchful eyes. The built environment and the social environment reinforce each other. One charming aspect of Tokyo's neighborhood design is the shotengai, pedestrian shopping streets, often covered arcades, packed with small merchants. These shotengai serve as the social and commercial spine of many communities, offering everything from fresh tofu to bookstores, usually just a short walk from home. They thrive in part because zoning and land costs allow small storefronts to exist. You'll find them branching off many train stations, drawing foot traffic from commuters on their way home. The effect is that even a bedroom community has some bustling village-like centre near the station. And thanks to minimal parking lots, since most customers arrive on foot or bike, the scale stays intimate and inviting. In terms of architecture and housing, Tokyo's cityscape is a mishmash. You might have a traditional wooden house adjacent to a modern steel and glass apartment block. Uniformity is not the goal. Livability is. There are building codes about height and sunlight, slant plane rules that preserve light for neighbors. But in general, Tokyo embraces a dynamic mix of building types. This incremental, lot-by-lot development pattern has yielded a fine-grained urban fabric that feels organic. You can turn a corner and suddenly find a tiny Buddhist temple or a hidden pocket park. These surprises are part of Tokyo's design charm. The city rewards exploration on foot. It's often said that Tokyo doesn't reveal itself all at once from a skyline view. You have to experience it at ground level, walking its alleys and lanes, to understand how well it's designed for human use. The neighborhood cells of Tokyo function so well because they interlock perfectly with the transit arteries. Every cell is plugged into the greater organism via a nearby station, but it has its own local heartbeat. The school sports day, the local shrine festival, the regular customers greeting the greengrocer. In urban design terms, Tokyo has achieved something many cities strive for: high density without losing human scale. By allowing the mixed-use density to emerge organically and keeping streets walkable, Tokyo's design manages to be both efficient and intimate. You can live in central Tokyo and enjoy cosmopolitan amenities, yet on your own street feel the comforting familiarity of a village. This duality is a direct outcome of conscious design choices, especially Japan's flexible zoning system and transit-first development, that prioritize people over cars and communities over strict separation of land uses. Physical infrastructure and regulations are only part of Tokyo's success. The third, crucial layer of design is social design, the unwritten rules, etiquette, and collective mindset that guide daily life. The Japanese concept of meiwaku, roughly meaning to avoid bothering others, is at the heart of this cultural software. From childhood, people in Japan are taught to be considerate in public, to not impose their personal inconvenience on those around them. In Tokyo, where people live and travel in extremely close quarters, this social code is arguably as important as any urban plan in making the city function smoothly. Consider the morning rush hour train. Millions of Tokyoites pack into subway cars and commuter trains that are, at peak times, standing room-only sardine cans. Yet, the atmosphere is not chaotic or loud, it's eerily calm. Conversation is muted to a whisper, phone calls are practically taboo, and you'll often only hear the rhythmic clickety-clack of tracks and the occasional station announcement. This isn't enforced by any law, but by collective courtesy. Signs in trains do gently remind riders to silence their phones and refrain from calls, and most people comply automatically. As a local guide explains, Japanese trains have a uniquely quiet atmosphere, and proper mobile phone usage plays a crucial role in maintaining this peaceful environment. Phones are kept on manner mode, silent, at all times on the train. If someone's phone does ring loudly, you'll see them blush with embarrassment. It's also understood that you shouldn't blast music from headphones. If others can hear the tinny beat leaking out, it's considered rude. The guiding principle is not to cause meiwaku, disturbance. As one etiquette guide puts it, the concept of meiwaku shapes how people communicate while traveling, encouraging only quiet conversations and discouraging any behavior that would disrupt the peaceful environment on board. This ethic extends beyond trains. Walk through a Tokyo street and you'll notice other subtle behaviors. People generally don't jaywalk. Even if the road is clear, many will wait for the pedestrian light, valuing order and predictability over saving a few seconds. There's no loud honking from cars. Drivers are astonishingly patient with pedestrians and other vehicles, again reflecting a norm of keeping peace in public. You might also notice the cleanliness of the city, despite a relative scarcity of trash cans in public. Tokyo is extremely clean for such a massive metropolis. The reason isn't that an army of street sweepers magically appears, though cleaning crews are efficient. It's that people simply do not litter. The expectation is that you carry your trash with you until you find a bin, often at a convenience store or train station. This became especially true after 1995, when most public trash cans were removed for security reasons. Yet Tokyo stayed clean because the culture adapted. Streets are often swept by shopkeepers or local volunteer groups. It's common on weekend mornings to see neighborhood associations out picking up cigarette butts or fallen leaves. The sense of ownership and pride in one's surroundings is palpable. Another facet of Tokyo's social code is safety through community vigilance. We saw how children commute alone because the community collectively watches out for them. This idea of kith and kin policing, not in an oppressive way, but in a caring, eyes-on-the-street way, contributes to Tokyo's low crime rates. Lost items are famously likely to be returned in Japan. If you leave your phone on the train, there's a good chance it will turn up at the station lost and found. The Koban system, small police boxes in every neighborhood, also ensures police presence is nearby and approachable, reinforcing trust and safety. The Economist's Safe Cities Index has repeatedly ranked Tokyo the #1 safest city in the world, citing its low crime and strong infrastructure and personal security measures. In 2019, Tokyo scored 92 out of 100, topping all cities evaluated in digital, health, infrastructure, and personal safety categories. That safety is not just the result of policing or cameras, it's intimately tied to social norms of honesty and looking out for one another. We could say Tokyo's greatest design achievement is that it designed not just the city's hardware, rails, roads, buildings, but also nurtured the software, the social operating system. A train station, no matter how well engineered, would be hellish if people shoved and shouted. In Tokyo, even on the busiest Monday morning, you'll witness a sort of choreography. Commuters walk briskly, but don't run others over. Station attendants bow and apologize if a delay reaches even a minute. And there's a shared understanding that we're all in this together, so let's each not make it harder for everyone else. That collective mindset dramatically improves quality of life in a dense city. It's something city planners around the world marvel at, because it's not easily replicable through policy. It's a cultural asset Tokyo has honed over generations.